Okay, we should be live in the pre-show memes. Post this. Post this. You're about to get pinged in the Discord.
No, not pinged.
Yeah, it's gonna happen. It's gonna happen.
No.
Girl's last ping.
No, that'd be next week though.
That's true. It's very true.
Oh, hell yeah, this cover's not a blinding white.
Wow. Did I write it here? I did write it here. Okay, good. Put it over here. Episode 79. 79 goddamn episodes.
We're coming for One Piece. It'll happen eventually.
We're getting there. Okay, let me make sure my chats are all up and working. Apparently, we got a follow right before starting stream from Drought Nyan. Thank you so much for the follow. And then this is working. Okay, and then I move the chat here. How's everybody doing today?
I'm awake this week.
That's good. That's always a big ask. Now, did everybody read the correct chapters for this week?
Nope, sure did.
Oh, okay.
I think I did.
It should have ended at companion/comrades. Whatever it was called on whatever versions you read. And there were like 2 chapters missing from this week's reading. It's a whole thing. Okay.
If you say so.
I mean, I do say so. I checked and confirmed this.
If you say so.
I mean, there were 2 chapters that you did not read.
If you say so.
I mean, it's also a fact. I confirmed it. I have them in front of me. You know. So I do in fact say so. Yeah.
It's a made-up tale. It's a total fabrication. It never happened.
Not true. Not true.
Look, all we know is local video store version is full of shit.
It is. It really is. We'll go over that. Is everybody here that we need for this week? Are we missing anybody? I think everybody's here. We got Ari, Aztec, Shino, me, Galaxy, and Shadow. Who else was here last week? Oh yeah, of course. Yeah, you got to ping Coda. Yeah. Listen, Coda could read all of Girl's Last Tour real quickly.
I mean, it takes like...
Coda messaged me something, and I forgot to respond to it yesterday. It just says in all caps, "Chap, which YouTube fanime from the late 2000s / early 2010s have you seen?" And this is all in all caps. And I'm just like thinking to myself, like, I don't.
What does that mean?
First of all, I'm thinking, I probably none. Second of all, I'm worried now of what Coda has discovered to prompt this. I am very worried about what Coda has discovered to prompt this all caps message. But I will respond to it when I remember to.
You're not gonna remember, Chip.
Maybe not. Were you about to say something, Aztec?
I don't know.
Fair enough. Fair enough.
We confuse them too much.
I got distracted by something shiny.
Okay.
What
all right.
could possibly distract you? Wait, hold on. Now I'm confused.
What?
Don't worry about it. Let's get started. I think we're all ready to go, right? We're all here. We're all ready. Let's get it going. Let me turn off pre-show. Welcome, everybody, to another exciting episode of the Anime Book Club here on YouTube, Twitch, and Kick all at the same time. We are here to continue our discussions about Girls' Last Tour. We are on volumes 3 and 4. But before we get into that, let's go over everybody who's here this week. Starting in alphabetical order, as usual, Arimia, introduce yourself.
Hi, I'm Arimia. I like shonen shit. This week, I'm going to recommend that everyone, I don't care if you like card games or no. I think more people should watch Yu-Gi-Oh! Zale. It's really good. I've been rewatching it this past few weeks, and it holds up surprisingly well. It is. It's just very good.
I didn't like it, but it's probably because the dub was bad. There wasn't any particularly funny bits. Besides, you just summoned your mom.
And that's why you don't watch the dubs for Yu-Gi-Oh, kids.
Did you just say you just summoned your mom?
Yeah,
That's a dub line. Yeah,
It is.
it's. Yeah, I know the exact episode. Yeah. Unfortunately.
Is she in attack mode or defense mode?
Attack
Absolutely defense
Oh,
mode.
okay, all right. So go check out Yu-Gi-Oh! Zale if you're. It's Zale, not Zexel, right? Which is it? Is it Zale or Zexel?
Zexel is the dub. Zale is the sub.
Oh God. Okay, well.
Yeah, they pronounce it Zearu in the original, and then the dub is just like, that's too hard to pronounce.
That's too hard, yes.
True. All right, well, go check that out if you are interested in that. Thank you so much for that. Next up, Aztec. Introduce yourself.
Hi, I'm Aztec, and I stayed awake for this week.
That's good.
I don't really have recommendations for anything new. Watch your boy Kong Ming. That was fun.
It's pretty based. I gotta
Yeah,
admit.
back to that.
It's pretty good. We will finish it eventually. Thank you so much for that.
We said it a little too much, honestly, Chef. We need
Next
to
up,
fix that.
Hole Digger Shino. Introduce yourself.
Hi, I'm Shino, and my recommendation this week is a manga and web novel called Mitsuba Monogatari. It's a dark, low fantasy, pseudo-historical story set in alt-universe France around the French Revolution and Napoleonic era, with a very cute, chaotic, evil, white-haired female protagonist. Yeah, good stuff.
Hell yeah. Thank you so much for that. Go check that out if you're interested in that. Yippee! All right, next up we have me, Kettenborg, aka Wolfborg, aka Chaplin, aka the best anime book club host you've ever known if you've only seen this one. This week, I've already recommended Idol Story for the past several weeks. It is out now, so I'm not going to recommend it again because I already sent it. You already know. Go read Idol Story in English. The actual recommendation for this week is a light novel series called Playing Death Games to Put Food on the Table. I read the first volume of that, and it's pretty interesting, and it's got an anime announced. So it's like a world where there's just a series of death games that just happen and people can just participate in them voluntarily, and then the scenarios they end up in are whatever the weird hosts decide to put them in for their own entertainment. It's pretty cool. It's pretty fun. So go check that out if you are interested. What?
The second you started explaining it broke in my end. It was very funny.
Okay. Playing death games to put food on the table, Shadow. Go read it. You know how to read, right? It's a novel. It's like a light novel.
I am a Yu-Gi-Oh player.
Okay, that's true.
But fortunately, I can read.
You could probably also figure out the rules of the death games they're playing too, if you're smart about it. Yeah. All right, well, go check that out if you're interested. Next up, Lady Galaxy. Introduce yourself.
Hi, that's me. I'm Mayan or Anne, whichever you prefer. My recommendation this week is going to be Fantasia Lost, because I can't get myself to stop playing it.
Okay, sweet. Is this a what kind of, is this a VN or what is this?
It's the Toho rhythm game.
Oh, all right. All right, go check that out if you're interested in that. Thank you so much. And next up, Shadow Man V4. Introduce yourself.
Hi, I'm Shadow. The thing I recommend is Slay Spire. I just got percent, and I trust me. I found this before Tuesday, But one of the items in the game is this.
Could you say it describe it for the people listening? Is it a
Kaiman's head.
It's a Kaiman head. Okay.
Okay.
Yeah, from Dorohedoro, which we're gonna be watching next week. Because that's what won the wheel spin. So what was this? Slay the Spire?
Yeah, they're making a sequel allegedly.
Okay. I've never actually played it. I know a lot of people play it, and I hear good things.
Look, I
I've never
spent
tried it
like
myself.
100 hours on it. I got everything, got all the achievements, beat the game in less than 20 minutes,
Damn.
and I still have no fucking idea what I'm supposed to be doing here.
Based. That's peak gaming right there. Well, thank you so much for that. And that's everybody we got for this week. So, it is time to begin our discussion about Girls Last Tour, Volumes 3 and 4. Before we get into this, I will quickly clarify to the people listening, okay? I've discovered something in making sure that we were all ready for today. Last week, I had to correct the schedule for the chapter numbers. This week, I had to realize it goes even further than that, and that the local library version that some people may be reading of this series is just wrong on several levels. First of all, they were wrong about what chapters are in which volumes. Second of all, they were just wrong about the chapter numbers. There are several chapters that are just not there on that version, and one of them is listed as a half chapter, I guess. Supposedly, this had to do with some chapters not being chapters originally in the online web magazine release, and eventually they got put into the tankobon like volume release as bonus chapters. But the local library version didn't follow the volume splitting for either the original release or the volume release. I don't know what was going on with that. So not only are just chapters missing from that upload that were just never put up there, they also just fucked up I thought maybe it was the result of missing chapters is what made the volume count all fucked up, or the chapters per volume count fucked up. But no, they just did it wrong, I guess. So if you are somebody who is reading from those versions, you have most likely missed 3 chapters at this point that existed. I noted them down, which ones were missing. The chapters are, well, technically there was supposed to be last week, there was supposed to be a chapter, where was it? I wrote it in spoilers, I think. Okay, chapter 11, Residence, which was a chapter where they were just in a random place and wondering about what they would put into their home if they could stay in one place at one time. That was a chapter that wasn't there. There's also a chapter this week, 2 chapters this week. One is Moonlight, and the other was Destruction. Both of these weren't in that thing. So, if you read from official sources or find some other ways to read from official sources, if you find some way to read a regular, not fucked up release, you will be experiencing all 47 chapters. But if you are reading whatever's up there, you're probably going to be missing at least 3 chapters and then be confused at where we're going to stop at. Anyways, from last week, we were supposed to stop at the chapter Takeoff, but as I've now realized, some people here may have read one extra chapter than I had intended because of this fuck up. Specifically, Ari was mentioning about how they were talking about their grandpa. I had not mentioned it at the time we were discussing because I just assumed it was a throwaway line that I had just not remembered. So I was just like, oh, maybe they mentioned their grandpa or whatever, and I just don't. No, it was just the next chapter. I was like, oh, okay, so that's what happened there. So yeah, so for this week, the reading ended at the chapter called Companions and or Comrade. Whatever version you were reading might have a different name for it. The only other thing to note that I noticed is that everything about the official English release is like perfectly fine, except for like one little detail I noticed, which is that they've named 2 different chapters in 2 different volumes the same exact name. Technology is a title that happens twice. The local video version that we read one of the technology chapters was last week, and then the other was this week. And the technology chapter for this week was called Machine this week in the local library version, which makes more sense given the context. But we'll get into all that. But I just wanted to clarify this stuff to let you guys know it's not going to be a problem for next week. But if there was a bit of confusion about why we didn't talk about certain chapters, it's because we technically weren't supposed to read them yet. So if you're reading those versions, you're like, how come they didn't talk about this thing? That's why. It's because technically they weren't supposed to be there yet. So anyways, we're going to talk about, and if you're wondering why some people don't have thoughts about certain chapters, it's because they just didn't see it. They just didn't know it existed. But it did exist, okay? It did exist. I read them all. They happened. They did happen. Yeah. So, all right. So volumes 3 and 4. So we just left our new friend Ishii, who is falling down to wherever she was happening to fall, and our protagonists here are driving on to. I think they start off in like a weird pipe facility thing that they were climbing on top of, and they were doing this because they just didn't realize there was an obvious entrance they were supposed to go into. And then once they did find out how to get inside of the pipes, there was just arrows left for like where to go and things like that. So they gave themselves a lot more work. But the thing about that chapter for me is that kind of like, I feel like a theme more so for this week than last week. I mean, last week had some weird settings visually as well. This week I felt like it was getting more and more surreal, more and more weirder. Probably because we're getting into the more advanced stratums, I suppose. But yeah, things are getting a little wackier in some ways, I think, to me at least. So, how are we feeling in general for some of the things that happened this week? First of all, Ari, how are your thoughts specifically? Because I know you had some takes last time. How are you feeling about the series now?
Yeah, I like the introduction of the machines, the others in this world. It kind of looks like the that we've developed a very small pattern for the reading. Where like last week, both of the books were about the human settlers that are still there, and this week is the machines that are left, and it looks like we are going towards the new growth of the world. So kind of like the old, the created, and the new, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
So I do like that progression that it looks like we're heading towards, and I just like the having the machines there in general. Because I mean it's I don't want to say it's like cliche to have machines in these worlds. It's kind of inevitable to have them in here, but
Machines rise up.
but I do like seeing them here because I do like seeing, the remnants of this world that is not just, bullets and tanks. There are things that they created that are not sentient, but like, used for more purposes than just war because people had to live here. People had
Right.
to establish lives here.
Yep.
And those robots helped with that. And I liked seeing that aspect of it.
Yeah. Yeah, the machines were interesting additions, I thought, for those reasons, and also for the fact of the contrast towards our guest in the last two volumes. Last two volumes was just actual other people that are surviving in this world, and this week was just, well, I don't know if you would consider the second one a machine or not, but at the very least, these are non-human entities within this world, which is very, very interesting. I mean, and they each had their own little purposes that they have as well, and the machine aspect of it too was like a what were they doing? They were maintaining this facility, and specifically he was taking care of the last fish that they had in the facility of these like water tanks, and then the other machine his job is just to disassemble stuff, or I think it was more so just like maintenance in general, but then it for some reason had like a signal telling them to just disassemble everything for like whatever reason, which they had to then deal
Said
with.
it bugged out.
Yeah, they were saying bugged out. I didn't know if that was like, I didn't know how to interpret some of that kind of stuff when they were mentioning that. I was like, what does that in general mean? Like it should not be saying to disassemble this, or like is it like not a bug, but they don't know if it's a bug or not. I wasn't sure. It whatever the reason was for it, they were just like, we have to
Could
deal.
also have been responding to a signal from the other creatures.
Yeah,
Just potentially.
have we been told what these other creatures are like called? Like, do they have a name? I know the one that they
Not
found
really,
that
no.
they called the one that they found Ket because it sounded like cats, and then it kept saying Nui, I guess. I don't know if that's just supposed to be a sound, but those creatures,
it's just the sound it made.
yeah, and then they all looked like the weird structures that we kept seeing in the town, or like the little statues. I thought, I was like, oh, are these like the gods that they worshipped, or I'm not sure, but they turned into weird mushroom things and then flew away. So I was like, oh,
That definitely feels like the implication of the statues.
Yeah.
I don't know beyond that.
they like
their
worship them at the
base
very
form.
least, yeah.
Yeah,
Was
in
it-
their base form, they really look like the brush buddies from Witch Hats,
Oh,
which
okay,
are little.
okay.
They're like long, little fuzzy creatures.
Right.
I think they like the ink and stuff.
Oh yeah, they were feeding the ones in this one. They were feeding them like bullets. It
I'm a
was-
true American.
it was, yeah, like bullets and gasoline and you kept wondering if they could like eat it, and she's just like, he's just gonna taste like gasoline and fucking bullets. I don't know if you gunpowder. I don't know if you want to eat him. I don't. And then they're like, well, maybe gunpowder's tasty. You know, he seems to be enjoying it.
Tastes like America.
I mean, food is always a big thing that they're thinking about because it's literally the only reason they move everywhere, as far as we know right now, is just to go around and find something to eat. And so when they find the fish, they're like, oh, we can eat the fish, right? We're going to eat the fish, right? And it's like, no, the machine is telling us not to. It's trying to take care of it. Please do not eat the fish. It's the last surviving one. Let's blow up the big disassembling robot in order to protect the fish. And then you could just leave the robot to take care of it. It was a whole thing that we had happen. And then now this creature shows up that's just like, oh, you guys got a shit ton of bullets. I can like eat those, I guess. It's very tasty. They eventually get it to eat like a huge type of bullet. I don't remember which one it said, but it was like a massive bullet. I was
20
like,
millimeter.
I was like, Jesus, we're feeding him, and then he's getting like heavier with the more that they feed him. So I'm like, oh well, yeah, very very interesting creatures, very interesting. And then they just they communicated with them through taking over the radio waves. They found a radio. It was in like a big type of memorial. I thought it looked like a big, massive library, but it was like I guess a shit ton of drawers that had like stuff in them, left behind from people. I wasn't sure if these are supposed to be like some kind of.
It
What was
looks a
that?
lot like a body storage place for a morgue.
Yeah, I didn't know if it was supposed to be like a morgue or like crematorium thing or whatever, but I was just like, okay, well, there's items that are surviving in them, so
That's essentially meant to be graves.
yeah. And then
But obviously there are too many dead people, or the dead people have all gone, so they couldn't
Yep.
actually keep the bodies.
right.
So instead they got little P.O. boxes.
Well, I think like Korea or some places do that.
Oh,
Ugh.
Because
That's
there's
interesting.
just not enough
would make sense.
room,
yeah.
so they have PO boxes. Like
As you do.
I don't know what to search to find examples of that, but yeah, I think that it's a thing in some Asian countries.
Okay, well, that's very interesting. I never would have thought of that, but I guess it makes sense. I mean, here it's displayed like it's a massive, massive collection, which I guess makes sense from all the war that appears to have been constantly happening in these areas. But yeah, like I said, when I first saw the area, I thought this was like a massive library. But instead it's just we had the one chapter before that was called Labyrinth, and then they went into that place, and I was like, wow, this looks like a fucking labyrinth with how many walls we have up here too. That's just the graveyard, I guess. I'm like, oh, Oh, that's fucking dark. But yeah, they're just having a slice of life time, running around
It's a
looking for
really
food, you know?
lighthearted series.
Yeah, it's very lighthearted. They get to hang out with little creatures that fly around and talk through radios. You know, they get to hang out in a submarine. Why not? Why not?
I will say that one of the things the creatures said, I think, might have just been translated poorly. We do not possess vocal organs, however, we are able to alter sound waves into language. It's like that's just speaking. That's what I do.
Let me see how it translated in my version. I think it pretty much said the same kind of thing, though.
I'm reading the version you sent.
Oh, okay. Well, so I had assumed when they were saying things like that, they meant like we can disrupt like, I don't know, radio sound waves or whatever. We can't produce sound from our own on our own. We can only manipulate existing sound waves in the air, I guess. I'm not sure what the difference is, but yeah. Although then what wouldn't stop them from, why wouldn't they be able to like cause sound themselves, like hitting the ground and then manipulating that?
Yeah, I think it was just supposed to say radio waves.
Maybe. Perhaps. What did it say in the other version that you guys read?
I didn't check because I had to read ahead one chapter.
Oh no. Oh, I see. Okay, well, let's not worry about that then. But yeah, so they were able to talk, well, primarily through the one radio that they found in somebody's grave, which at times was just randomly picking up a signal of music that they said sounded kind of sad or felt sad depending on the situation that they were hearing it in. I think they specifically were listening to it when they found the outside and saw like the sunset or whatever at the time. Something like that. They mentioned wherever they went looking very red. I remember that bit. I'm trying to remember where I was going with that. Just that we had the radio, and the radio was introducing them to music, and then they talked about what that means, even though like then they talked about how they were hearing the song from the rain sounds that we had last week. I wonder how the radio song is in the anime. Do they get this far in the anime? I forget. Where do they get in the anime?
Yep.
Okay.
They leave off right at the end of Volume 4.
Oh, okay. So they... Oh.
The last moment of the series is
the mushrooms flying off? That's where it ends?
Mm-hmm. Yep.
With them saying the world's going to end soon. Good luck.
That's how you end the series. I'm gonna tell you.
Well, better than Land of the Lush.
That's true.
You know, that was true.
That was we just finished watching the Land of Lustrous anime in the server, and the last episode just is like, okay, several things are ready to happen, and there's several other things that are about to happen. But what if we did like a little mini montage about how far everybody's come so far, and we just end it there, and then we never make a sequel ever? Go read the manga.
Ended right before the fucking checkers. What the hell? You know what I'm talking about.
Honestly, I would say, given where the story goes from here, if you're not going to do the full series, this is probably the best possible endpoint.
Yeah, for a Girl's Last Story, you mean, right? Yeah.
Yeah, for Girl's Last Story. Sorry.
Yeah.
Land of the Lush just was not. That was not an ending.
Yeah, Girl's Last Story, you know, they've helped out a weird creature that they found. They fly away saying, all right, we're about to go end the world real quick, or after our mission, the world's going to end. I forget what they said, but essentially they just fly away saying, okay, all right, the world's going to end now. Goodbye. And then it ends with a...
It's not even really that. It's more along the lines of the world has already ended. We're just finishing up our job.
Okay, all right. I mean, it makes sense. And then it's just a shot of Chi and you holding hands and smiling as they watch them fly away. That's not a bad way to end it. Not a bad way.
By the way, were the adults like eating the nuclear missiles out of that sub?
Yep.
Okay.
It's tasty. is I mean,
gunpowder is baby food.
yeah, pretty
Yeah,
much.
obviously.
Pretty much.
We gotta get to the advanced weaponry. That's the good stuff.
It's a little nuclear flavor right there. Okay?
A little bit. They pop a little bit of nuclear bombs.
You know.
It's spicy. You wouldn't like it.
All right, so let's see what specific memes did we have here. So we had the labyrinth pipes. We had cooking. They did a little cooking. They made some rations. We had looking through the camera and discovering the older stuff inside of the camera. Finally, big visuals for that, showcasing. We had one of the afterwards. I'll show this on stream too. Is explaining several of the objects that they have with them during their journey, and one of them is the camera, and it explains in detail the deal with the camera. Let me put this on stream, and we'll read through this. Okay, so this is the camera page. Okay, designs for Chito and Yuri's tour take-alongs. So we have the camera, which apparently has a weird eye structure to take out the aperture. I didn't even notice that bit until I looked at this afterward. The camera that got from Kanazawa in Volume 1. As it's a rare device that was made during ancient civilization, Chito, Yuri, and even Kanazawa don't know the full extent of its functions. An extremely sturdy specimen, it has survived the ages being passed between many hands. Not only is its drive system unknown, its battery life is so long that it's believed to be basically eternal. I was wondering about that too. I'm like, how the fuck does this camera still work? But apparently, it's just got future tech, so the battery's forever. The memory capacity is also so massive that you could never completely fill it up with photos. Chito and Yuri have yet to notice the data sleeping on its deepest layers. And it also talks about the rifle and stuff too. But I mean, the camera was the more important thing to go over, I thought.
I was actually expecting a bit more from the camera.
Yeah. You want like a big, dark, evil secret reveal?
I don't know. I guess, that is par for the course for this, where it's very short chapters and stuff, and they don't dwell on stuff for long. They had the one chapter of them going through it and wrap that up. But I'm guessing the eternal battery on the camera is meant to represent how the photos will always be an existing reminder of the past.
Yeah.
You take a photo and it'll always be there. And barring data corruption, losing the data, stuff like that.
Yeah, it's a
snapshot of life.
Yep, a connection into the past. And this was during a time where they were still wondering, pondering, if you will, about the point in learning about past cultures and all of that. While they were also discussing about whether they truly feel lonely, even though they have each other, whether, because they were like, when we meet these other people, we feel less lonely or whatever, but even though we're together or whatever. And they were wondering, like, you is the kind of person who's like, who cares? All that old stuff just gets in the way of living. And she's like, no, we have to learn the information about a lot of things like past cultures and all that so that we can understand our situation and what we should be doing in order to survive and things like that. But in general, learning about these things also just helps you live a more comfortable life or a life where like you can find purpose in this kind of life is how I kind of interpret it. Like looking at the history of other people and then leaving your own mark on it. In their case being all the photos that they've added to this camera. I feel like is supposed to be a whole big thing about adding on to the past and going on and bringing your own past with it. And then eventually if somebody else ends up with this camera, they're going to see Chi and Yu's adventures through that and all the things that they found with that, So very, very interesting. Very nice visuals with it too. I'll see if I can show the visual for it. I think it was a big double page spread. Yeah, it is. I have to I'm gonna paste it in here real quick, and then I'll download it. There's a whole process
I was
involved with
actually a
this.
bit confused if the not cat thingies ate the camera or not, because I kind of thought that they like digested it, so it was like gone.
They did
Thought-
not.
I thought that they had.
Oh.
I thought that they ate the radio.
Oh, I see,
They
I
ate
see.
the radio, which is why they were then still able to communicate.
Yeah, because so we had Ket, who was just kind of chilling with us for a while, the small version that was just hanging with them. They're like, oh, that's a weird creature, we'll teach you how to talk or whatever. And then they find the big ones when they're hanging in the sub, and the big one just randomly eats you and then kind of leaves, and you're like, oh no, oh fuck, Chi, what are you gonna do? Chi, what do you even do with this? Do you gotta kill it? What are you gonna do, Chi? And then she walks up, she's ready to like kill, and like it's already spitting out you, or you is already climbing out or something. It didn't want to eat you, it just wanted to eat the camera. But you had the camera, or not camera, the radio. It wanted to eat the radio so it could talk. So that's and then I guess was I understanding this right? They said not only do they have to eat the radio in order to talk, they needed it in order to finish whatever their job is. They needed that communication ability, or something about the process. They needed it for their thing, and that was also a reason why they flew away and said, "All right, good luck. Thanks
Have
for
fun."
the radio." I was reading that. I was like, wait a minute. Does this mean they just caused the end of the world, or well, the world's already ended, but essentially they're just like, all
Well,
right,
They
well,
didn't
like
cause
that.
it. They're cleaning it up.
yeah. Where did they get? They got the radio from the graves, but where the creatures were way far away from that area, because they at some point when they got to the next stratum, they took a train which took them like very, very far away at very fast speed, and then they took a lift that took them very high up at very fast speed. So they got very far away from where they originally got that camera. So I was wondering not camera, the radio. I was wondering for a bit like why these creatures hadn't found that kind of a radio thing like that yet, but I guess it makes sense if it's like technology from a lower stratum or like very far away on this stratum and things like that. Yeah, but yeah, the visuals of all the different groups, I had noticed one of them looks just like the Sameji simulation girl. Let me see if I can pull it up here. Let me enhance. I will
Don't even
enhance.
she show up in Shimeji Simulation?
Maybe. I don't remember if they do, but probably. Enhance. I believe it is this character, right? Is this the girl from Shimeji Simulation? Or am I misremembering? Thought it looked like her at least.
Ants.
Enhance! Shimeji Simulation. Let me look it up. Yeah, it looks like her. Let me pull up the cover here. Save image. Boom. There she is.
There we go. We got a Samiji simulation at home.
Growing out of the hair. Got the mushrooms. Wow.
The mushrooms, Mr. White.
We did have a cooking chapter this week. This is true. We did have cooking.
Oh, the same person made them both.
Yep, they did. I didn't know if at the time they had started Shimeji Simulation, though. Or if this was just like a character OC that they've had for a while, maybe. Let me see. Girls Last Tour ended Shimeji Simulation started 2019. Girls Last Tour ended 2018. Okay, so it's not too far away. So they probably had the idea for the character for a while. And then they threw him into there. And then they made a whole series out of him. But yeah, so what else did we have here? Where's my chapter lists here? What was the memories? Was the memories chapter the one with all the the memories chapter was the one with the graves. The past chapter in volume 4 was the one with the all the different pictures from that, I think, or maybe connections. Moonlight was the deleted chapter. Some of you would not have seen.
Drinking.
They do start drinking in that one. They find
They drink quite a bit.
what was it? It's like VIU or something like that, or VUI.
Something like that.
I just
Oh my
assumed
God.
it was supposed to be like wine, but I
It
wasn't
sounded
sure.
like champagne.
Oh, okay. And they got
That
fucked
kind
up.
of is the implication, yeah.
They got fucked up. They had a fun time. They watched the moonlight or hung out with that stuff. It was a fun time. Until the morning, they realized it gave him a headache, or it gave Chi a headache, but not you.
I think it quite is something up in their head, you know?
Yeah.
Can I just say,
Um,
having read so far, God's cruelest decision is putting you in a world without recreational marijuana.
Oops.
Oh boy.
You as a
And not wrong.
born stoner.
Yeah.
She just wants to
And a
hang
war
out and eat
criminal.
chocolate. It's fine. They do eventually get chocolate this week, right? They find chocolate or they make chocolate? I forget
Yeah.
what it was. They
They
find
just
chocolate.
said it was chocolate, but who knows what they perceive as chocolate, you know?
Oh, that's
What
true.
is chocolate really? You know, we gotta get back down to the source.
You know what?
It was
When you
at
really
least
think about it,
chocolate flavored, they said.
yes. You're
Which
like,
could mean literally anything in their world.
listen, let them exist with
Just
the fantasy of
saying.
chocolate, okay? They can have their little fantasy that they're eating chocolate. It might not be chocolate, but you know what?
Well, they had the one thing
fine.
earlier that was like labeled as chocolate flavored, so they know like vaguely what it is.
That's true. And then we had, I kind of liked the messaging behind the chapter spirals where the lift is not working, or they couldn't find the lift. I forget what it was, but either way, they couldn't take the lift up to the next area of the stratum, so they are taking the Kettenkrad and driving inside of a spiral staircase that leads all the way up. I guess all these areas have something similar to this kind of staircase, but usually you can just take a lift because it'll make your life easier. Here they had to drive it all the way up, which is simple to do, but it's also very fucking long, and it's very mind-numbing because it's just repeating the same exact circle around over and over and over again for a very, very long time. And while they're going up this thing, they have a conversation about how mundane life would be similar to going up this kind of spiral. You know, the cycle of just sleeping, waking up, doing work, or like eating and then going back to sleep or whatever, moving to somewhere else and going back to sleep. And like, it's a similar kind of cycle to where they would just lose their minds going up. They're making progress technically because they are going up, but it certainly doesn't feel like it because it's all just the same kind of visuals. So they get to a point at some point where they're like, oh, the bridge is gone now. Oh, but there's like a side way that we can drive through to continue this. But then that was all. They drove it on it. But the Kettenkrad's fucking heavy, especially with them on it too, and they almost fucking fell off that thing. But they survived. They survived, and the Kettenkrad is still there. Although I don't know where we still have it now, right? We haven't lost it yet. I forget what happened.
We still got it, I think, right?
Because I remember,
Yeah, they still got it.
I thought
Yeah,
I was
they still
worried
have it.
about it when they were taking they took the train. It took them far away, and then they took a lift afterwards that went really fucking fast. I was worried that was where the Kettenkrad was gonna fucking die. I was worried it was gonna go flying somewhere and break into pieces, and they weren't gonna be able to fix it. But so far, it's still there.
Like you say, Ken Cred's gonna die like it's a living being.
Well, it's a vehicle of technology that they probably don't understand how to fix all the way, maybe. So if it breaks to a certain point, they're probably not going to be able to fix it. They're able to do like general maintenance on this, it appears, but if it were to break too much, I don't know how much they'd be able to do about it. And this vehicle is literally like one of their main methods of survival. If they're not able to drive to different areas faster, they're probably just going to starve and die. So it's kind of very fucking important that they keep this thing alive. And then we had the whole chapters about them finding the facility with the machine, which can talk to them. They made a joke about, what would you do if a machine could like walk up to you and say hello? It's like, well, yeah, I don't know. I don't know if it would be a thing that would ever happen. And then it just literally happens.
Immediately.
With this series, I knew. I was like, okay, so this is where we're going with this. It's
That's comedic timing.
it still got me because it was just like an awkward looking panel of just like a structure standing up saying hello. It's like, oh, okay. And
I was slightly confused when that popped up and the immediate next panel was just you naked. I thought I might have missed something.
yeah, there was just a weird like time jump to what they were doing with the fish, I guess, or not the fish. They were just jumping into a different tank, to like bathe, I guess. I couldn't tell if they were bathing or doing laundry, but in general they were just swimming. But yeah, it like there was a time skip, and I'm like, wait, are they talking to this thing while they're naked swimming or whatever? Just randomly like, okay, whatever, we're just gonna swim now. But and then that bit was a whole thing about how Yu knows how to swim. She's like very good at it, but she does not. And so she struggles, almost drowns, and Yu has to save her. Meanwhile, the machine's explaining the facility and its whole purpose and all that. And they have discussions about what it means to have empathy and all that, because the machine's just talking to them, and they're like, yeah, I maintain the facility. It's our job to do our things as our machines. We can't really do anything else. This is just what we do. I gotta take care of that fish. Please do not eat the fish. I will have to call the security drone if you do. I mean, I can't contact him now, so I couldn't really stop you, but I can
try.
I can threaten to do it, but like, you know, it's not gonna work. I haven't heard from him
This
in
will
like
go
a
on
few
your
weeks.
permanent record.
I'm just saying.
Like, just be chill.
Smoke out the
Just be chill
polygram.
for like 2 seconds.
There's like very few other entities you can interact with in this world. Please don't piss off the next one that you meet, or you know, bad things will happen. Yeah. And you the whole time is just like, come on, we gotta eat the fish. Come on, we gotta eat the fish. Until they're like, okay, the disassembly droid is threatening the fish's life, and you're just like, okay, we gotta protect the fish. We got, you know, because we had a whole talk about empathy. Now I feel bad. I don't want the fish to die to this thing. I don't want the
Why
machine
did I
to
like my
get
hands? Not the machine.
True. Because then later they wonder about eating cat at some point. I think they're like, can we eat it? I mean, let's just eat. Yeah, because it's a creature. We can. They're not used to finding living beings at this point anymore. Like they're, as far as they've been told, there's not supposed to be any more living beings except for maybe a few humans. They were told everything else is dead. So they were already shocked to find a freshly dead fish last week. Now they find a living fish, and later on a new other creature thing, which is not an animal we're familiar with, but it's some kind of creature within this world. Whether it's some, because there is talks about evolution of both humanity and machines within these chapters, and just evolution in general is a thing. But I didn't know if these creatures are supposed to be an evolved form of biological animal of some sorts, or human, or if this is supposed to be an evolved like robot machine kind of thing, or a plant thing. I mean, they are mushroom looking things, so I wasn't sure. So like in general, this is some kind of thing that might have evolved in this kind of thing, perhaps. These are thoughts that were going through my head. Very interesting with how it sets up.
I will say, I wish this gave any sense of time passing. Like, have we been following them over like the course of a month or multiple years?
That is true. I think
I feel like it's like maybe a month, but yeah, like the passage of time is kind of funky.
It's definitely
here.
more along the span of months than years.
Months?
Yeah, with the distance they're traveling, it's probably something like that. I think they give throwaway lines about how long they've been going through certain things every now and then, but it's not too detailed about some of them. Or it doesn't really help you get this grand scheme of like how long they've been traveling with these things. But when you look at things like the map that we had last week, showing how much their journey has gone in the chapters from last week, there's a lot of distance they covered, and it's shortened to us for scale to show on the one page together. There's a lot of distance they cover, and I understand they're on a motor tank thing, but still, that's a fucking lot of distance, vertically and horizontally. It's a lot. So probably something like
I mean,
months.
they do also hit the two like fast travel essentially right in a row.
Yeah. We go a lot of places very fast. That train, massive, by the way. I thought that they were still in the station. They were in the train, and the train was zooming. Jesus. This is a massive, massive train that go real fast. And like they're driving their tank in this thing, and there's still a shit ton of room. I'm like, what the fuck? This is like a military transport cargo thing at lightning speed. What the hell?
Look, there's a
Yeah.
lot of cargo they got transport. A lot of Ken creds.
Well, because a lot of the tech and a lot of the structures, I was wondering like how much of this stuff was either built or restructured specifically for the battles that are going on. Because they get to an area at some point. Well, actually, I don't know if it's in the chapter that some of you read, but there's the destruction.
I
There's
read
the-
it though.
Yeah, there's the destruction chapter, in which they find a whole bunch of areas, and then one of the big machines falls down, and they go inside of the machine, and they realize it's a
Yeah,
human.
it's basically like a mech.
Yeah, it's like a mech, and they
Yeah,
press a couple buttons, and they start blowing up parts of the city a little bit.
Here
Teehee.
comes a
It's
war
a war
criminal.
crime. Yeah.
Listen,
Canon, this has happened.
listen. As far as they
You
know,
think there's
nobody else
anybody
is
alive in the city? Press the button. Not anymore.
Not anymore. Problem solved there.
Then
They
they
probably-
press a button, and then they press another button.
They
Say, "Oh, I'd
probably
like to press some more buttons."
they probably blew up the one surviving food facility nearby. This is fine.
Let's leave a bit of war crimes, as you do.
But there's also the big area that they were in that looked like a massive hole that they were trying to traverse through, and it just had a ton of leftover war stuff, like broken down vehicles and weapons and stuff. And they're like, yeah, this looks like it was just a massive battlefield of some sorts. I think they also say some lines about they wondered if something caused this hole to be formed, and then they built a city around this hole, and then a battle broke out around the city around this hole or something like that. They're like theorizing the history of what might have happened in certain areas, because they pretty much have nothing else to do, but also because Chi really likes looking into that stuff to try to figure out how much of that they can use to influence their survival or the things that they want to do or where to go next and things like that. So it's very interesting to me how this story lays out its world building just through the weird structures and these like I don't know if we've established whether or not these two are still children yet though, but these like two clueless individuals about these situations, just like pondering what might have happened and what the point of it was and things like that. It's interesting to have these elements built in where like our knowledge about things from our times helps influence things that we know, but they might not fully understand why people would do things or have things like that. And then you also just get to see these very surreal structures that were very specifically built to accommodate some future situation that we would have no idea about and they have no idea about, but you can speculate about it about as much as they can about it. I thought it was very neat. I think it's a very neat detail still. And again, I really like how we did a lot of the settings for this week, especially. There were plenty of these like surreal structures last week, but it felt like it was even more so, or like at a bigger scale of things this week, I felt. So I liked this week's reading a lot. I liked how we did it. I liked how we handled it. What else did we have? Yeah, we did the train. Oh yeah, Fuse Hunter in Twitch chat said if we invest in public transit, big train. That's all. Yeah, listen, massive train structure. You drive your car into it, okay, and then it just zooms.
I feel like we've already defeated the point.
Listen, that train goes real fast, okay? You drive your car onto that train, it takes you from Boston all the way to like California, okay?
Canada.
Very fast. And as they were theorizing, if you're also driving your vehicle on that train, you get there even faster, right? That's how that works.
That's not how that works.
No, that's how that works. What was it? They were
You're an
taking.
accountant. What do you know?
True.
I need to account for how fast you're moving.
They were taking that knowledge and they were applying it to well, technically the Earth is spinning really, really fast, which it is. And does that mean we're also spinning really, really fast? I mean, well, it's not
These
wrong.
ladies are about to
but
discover relativity.
it's listen, they're learning, all right? They're learning, they're discovering. And we love them for it. Then they were picking up the weird radio signal stuff, the waves through that. And they were like, what the fuck is a wave signal? What the fuck is the sound? It sounds kind of sad. I don't know. And then I think about cultures and the what's the point of cultures and like why learn about them and things like that. And then we get into finding the creature Ket and then meeting I wouldn't say the parents, but like the older Kets, the creatures, the things, whatever they are, the noodle things. They look like little noodle creatures to me.
The long boys.
The long boys who then turned into mushroom boys and then flew off into the sunset or moonlight, whichever it was. I couldn't remember what it was. And then supposedly that's where the anime ends. I can only imagine what happens next then. I believe at some point, I don't remember if it was in the Moonlight chapter or something like that, they were talking about going to the moon one day.
Yes, that's because they were drunk. That's why they were talking about that.
Well, you say that, but also I prepared the thumbnails in advance for the book club, and the thumbnail for next week is them on the moon. So I don't know. I don't know what that.
They were the
maybe
people
not.
on the moon.
Look, they're going to the top layer, okay?
That's where the stratums go, all the way up, all the
All the
way
way
up.
to the moon. Okay, they got the elevator from X8. Just go right to the moon.
I was trying to think of like the grand scheme of things with this, because they experience weather in certain levels, like snow and things like that. But they say they mention, I think this week too, how it depends on whether or not the stratum is directly above them at times, as to whether what they're experiencing is rain or water drainage from an upper system and things like that. And it interests me and also reminds me of how what's the world from Sword Art Online called? Aincrad. They're supposed to be set up like that too, where it's like a bunch of different layers of floors, which each have their own kind of environment in some way, but they have like they're supposed to be like stacked layers all over the place. So I was wondering if how these kind of worlds get set up to like have the environments work like that. I mean, to be fair though, most of where they're at seems like very dark and inside of a facility. So I guess it's not too hard to realize. Maybe they're just underneath a structure always, and then occasionally something leaks underneath. But then I don't understand how snow happens. I don't understand what snow happens.
It's called Canadian magic.
Maybe it's like I don't know, air conditioning systems from a higher stratum or some shit. I don't know how that works.
No, Chet, it's Canadian magic. You don't understand, okay?
Canadian
It's just
magic.
asbestos.
Oh, okay. Well, that explains why everybody's dead. Okay, I understand.
Yeah, they're gonna die soon.
I mean, that's what the mushroom people said. So, or implied at least. Like, good luck.
Yeah, because it's asbestos.
Yeah, I liked.
Asbestos for the rest of us.
Oh God. What did we think about some of the surreal elements this week? What did we like about the weird things that we were doing? What did we like about the philosophical things? Did anybody have anything specific that they remember them talking about or witnessing that they thought was neat? I guess not.
Supposed to be doing philosophy?
On occasion, sometimes. Like I said, a lot of what they talk about is like very simplistic with how they handle it, and then it's a lot of like you, the reader, trying to piece together how you feel about the concepts they're talking about, I guess. Because what was it last week? The interview we read was the author talking about the punchlines that they established, but doesn't necessarily mean they're jokes. It can just be like coming back around to a concept that they introduced at the beginning that they kind of brush off. Like, what's the point in culture? And then they eventually find the camera and all the old past histories of people, and they're like, you know what? Maybe learning about this old stuff is pretty cool. You know, maybe it's makes us feel less lonely to learn about this stuff and to know that we're contributing to it. Now, in the same thing with the camera discovery, what the fuck was going on? What were they talking about? They watched a video that happened on the camera, and they were talking about like 3 different scientist people and evolution happening. Did they create
like a middle school project?
Yeah, I wasn't sure. What were they supposed to be important scientists, or were they just supposed to be like kids recording on a camera about a school project, or did they create? Because my initial thought when we're unveiling some secret stuff from the camera is I had assumed we were going to accidentally stumble upon some important video about how they created some world-ending things, and then our characters weren't going to realize that that's what they're talking about and then move on. But I couldn't tell if that's what was going on with it. They were like, we've created a device. This is a sample from our device for our social study report. But I was like, but they're talking about evolution with them things. Yeah. Mutations of the machines. Interesting. Very interesting. Fuse Hunter in chat, schoolgirls making intelligent robots for club activities. And then those robots ended the world. That was my addition to the comment. It could have happened. Could have happened. That could be
not again.
That machine that they built in that social studies class could have been the one that shot the missiles that you controlled. You could have used their machine as it mutated over time. It's possible, I think. It's possible. Nothing unusual here, true. Thank you, Fuse Hunter. Okay. What else do we have? We do have the afterwords that they sent. Let's throw those up real quick. I'll pull it up. This is the afterword for Volume 3. It looks like we're in a cafe structure of some sort. I wondered for a moment if it's the cafe I remember there being in Shimeji Simulation, which I wouldn't be surprised if it eventually influenced it, perhaps. And it says, it seems like mankind still isn't able to define the concept of life that well. In contrast with Chito and Yuri's instinctive perception of it, maybe life is really something that goes on eternally, uninterrupted. Maybe it has no end. Thinking of it that way makes me a little uneasy, and I need an uneasiness that myself, for which an end will certainly come one day, could end up being left stranded eternally. Maybe it's loneliness? Life, civilization, the universe. I like all these things to be over at some point. I think that having an end is a very comforting thing. Because I remember the reason this idea comes up is they have to stop the disassembly robot from tearing everything apart, and to do this they have to blow it up with the explosives they got from last week. And so they do a whole thing where Yu's gonna jump on it, place the explosives, and then she's gonna activate the detonator as Yu's running away, and it falls around crashing, and then they're like, okay, well, technically this thing's dead now, but was it ever really alive? And then they talk about how like empathy is a factor too, and they wonder if like maybe life, something having a life means something that has an end to it, I guess, which I guess is one way of thinking about it. But then in my head I was thinking like, what about objects that just erode over time? Does that technically count? I'm not sure, but interesting concepts, interesting ideas with that. And then
Yeah.
Yep.
Oops, go ahead.
No, you go.
I was gonna say that I definitely found that part really interesting. Also because it would be great if we could be immortal without eating mercury and dying from mercury poisoning. But aside from that,
It'd be tasty.
Try a little bit of mercury, Chino.
like honestly, we never see any human corpses, but we see like a lot of machine corpses, and I feel like that's kind of interesting because I guess like the cat things are like, oh, we don't eat live humans, or at least that's what the local library copy of it translates it to. So it's like what happens to the bodies, and I guess we don't eat
It felt
human
very
they
on
eat
the
the corpses
nose.
too.
Yeah, like you don't eat live humans. Okay.
So that's why there's no dead bodies lying around. I see.
Yeah. And I guess it's like if you consider like legacy to be a form of immortality, like the human legacy is like they don't even have the bodies left. So I guess if some
Yeah.
aliens came down, it's like, well, there is no memory of humanity except for maybe in like the cameras and stuff like that.
Yeah, that's definitely why things
Yeah.
like the camera are super important, and the graves if they have objects in them that like can establish
Well,
that person.
And the
I guess.
environments themselves, because
That's
the
true.
picture that would be painted of humanity at this point is pretty exclusively war related.
Yep. All
Which
the
isn't
leftover
wrong.
battlefields and yeah, the you know that kind of stuff, and then we have the details like the camera, the books, the journals that she's collected. She even collected a book this week that she can't even fucking read because it's in like English and she doesn't know English. She's like, well, listen, we'll keep it. It's rare. Maybe you never know. It could be important. We might be able to figure it out, or maybe somebody read it. It was the idea. I'm assuming she has or whatever, but it's just like this is important knowledge of history that could have happened. I can't read it now, but it's important. I'm assuming. And I was thinking that similar kind of thing to what you're saying. Alien finding this book, can't read the fucking book. That doesn't necessarily mean that it like wouldn't find importance in keeping this thing to potentially figure out what it means in the future potentially in order to learn more about what happened here. Or it could be the type of alien that picks it up and is more like you. It's just like, well, I guess this goes in the fire. It's more fuel for the fire. We don't need that learning. We don't need that here. So there's different ways that you can try to handle that stuff when you approach previous cultures with that kind of thing, and when you're somebody who in this world who's just trying to survive, it's nice to have the two different sides of that view be our main characters, where you is just like all that thinking about the past and stuff just it just is not good and boring and stops you from eating or whatever. And then she's like, no, but we need that. That's how we live. And then you'll get details like Chi obsessing over them wearing a helmet because she's very cautious about their survival and things like that. And they're like, okay, we got to tie ourselves together so that if one of us falls, the other can jump to the other side of the pipe so that we can save ourselves like that. And then Yu's looking at that like, yeah, but that could also just mean if I fall, we're both going to fucking die. Or if you fall, we're both going to fucking die. Or if we go to sleep and I roll over in my sleep, we just fucking die. Both of us, you know, they'll have their different views about these different things. And I think it's very neat that we have those different perspectives for our philosophical journey goers, the girls on their last tour, if you will. So, yeah, what else? What else do we have here? How did we feel about not the machines, but the mushroom people? What were our thoughts in general of the mushroom people? Did we think that the creatures were interesting interesting additions? Did they think that the little critter designs were cute? Or did we like how they were teaching it language over time? What did we think of them? Did we have any thoughts?
I thought Ket would be a more permanent addition to the thing.
We can't have that.
I was thinking that too.
And I felt like the adults just kind of came out of left field. Like I get that they didn't. They were being foreshadowed with the whole radio thing, but
Yep. I'm trying to see if Ket entered. I think Ket had more chapters than the last guest, at least. Yeah, because they found Ket towards. Where did they find Ket? I'm scrolling through to find the chapter where they find him. Here it is. They find him in a pipe, and then this is at the whole capture. So chapter 27. So they have him for most of the volume, whereas the last guest they're only there for like 3 chapters. Here he's there for 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 chapters. He gets double the chapters. But now he's flying away. Flying away with his family. I guess they're his family. I think I would have liked Ket being a character. I was wondering the whole time Ket was there. I was like, is this thing fucked up and evil and is trying to trick them? Because I kept thinking of all the religious stuff before of that thing everywhere. And I was like, is this thing trying to... is this an evil, small thing that's going to try to use them to get something from them or get them to do something that they can't physically do and then try to take over as God or something? I was like, I don't know what's going on, but the last city clearly worshipped these things. So I don't know. I don't know what this is.
man,
See,
I
I
swear you
didn't-
get an extra long French fry with your order, and you look at it like, is this thing fucked up and evil?
It might be. It could be. If
Is
the
this thing gonna
city
take over the world?
if the city like builds statues of French fries, maybe I would worry about that. I don't...
You live in America. That's what we do normally.
Listen.
The American propaganda is spreading, okay? With the gunpowder and the extra long fries, it's insane.
I was gonna say, do we have a whole church of it? But we have McDonald's, so that's basically.
Yeah.
See, I didn't.
We got the golden
think,
arches.
I was wondering if they were going to accidentally like turn it into a weapon or evil or something because you kept
Accidentally.
feeding it like bullets and guns and teaching it words and stuff, and I'm like, how are we raising this creature? This
We're
certainly won't
raising
go
it like
wrong.
a true American. That's how we're raising it, okay, Ari?
Yeah, just let it feed on tank bullets and stuff.
Well, you don't do that?
They just bring it back to its
you
parents.
know,
It's like, okay, child, what have you learned on your journeys? I want to kill. I want to taste bullets. I want gunpowder.
I desire flesh, mother.
That was my worry.
I want to pilot the mech and shoot a missile, mother. Let's go.
I want to get in
I
the
love
mecha.
Jewish.
Yeah, that's true. I think I liked.
There's definitely that potential read on it. I think there's also the connection of them viewing these things as like religious figures and tying that once again back to the societies that we see or that we see these remnants of, and their just endless obsession with wars and violence and death, because that's what these things are tied to, is like cleaning up after the end. So
Okay.
just this worship of death itself.
Oh god, I can't click anything on Discord right now. Is my Discord about to crash? No, we're good. Okay,
Yes.
we're good.
It's crashing right now.
The mushroom creatures heard me shit talking them, and they were taking over my system.
Oh, no, that's just me. Sorry.
You're one of the mushroom
God
creatures.
damn it,
I
Shadow!
always knew
Not
it.
again.
I always knew it was weird. I was like, why is he eating like a bunch of raw rifle shells? What's going on with him?
He's not
Yeah,
even
I was always-
American.
Yeah.
He's
Like, how do you even get
Americanized.
it? How did he even get it? What the fuck? That's a tank shell. What the fuck?
Did he just break into a Walmart?
Yeah, he might. Could have.
What are you talking about me?
Yeah, why not? What'd you do?
What did I do?
I don't know. You did your reading, and that's all that's important.
I
Did
did
you end-
bonus too.
Did you end up reading the extra chapters that you weren't supposed to
Yes.
before I realized? Yeah, that happens. Anything good? Don't spoil anything.
Oh, no. Actually, it ended shorter than on the actual thing.
And ended shorter.
Because I didn't get the update until you get the extra chapters that we're supposed to be reading. So I didn't read ahead.
So you didn't read ahead. So you didn't read beyond the
He read less
companions
than he was
chapter.
supposed to, because he didn't read the chapters that weren't in the local
Oh
library.
no,
version.
well, that's fine. That's fine if you didn't read those ones. But
That's the
point-
joke he was trying to make.
Oh, okay. I didn't know if he was joking or if we were just trying to actually explain what was going
No,
on.
okay, let me explain. Okay, so I finished before companions because that's where it ended on my end.
Yeah.
And then once you get the update,
Oh.
it's like, yeah. So I just
see.
read the version you gave us, and I got caught up.
Yeah, because the last chapter you should have read, minus any of the bonus memes I mentioned afterwards, the last chapter should have ended with just the mushrooms flying away. That's where it should have ended. And if you read beyond that, don't mention whatever you saw.
I think I'm fine.
But thankfully, we won't have to worry about this next week because we're just ending the series next week. So you just read whatever you find there, and then if you want to read the chapters that you weren't able to see through that, you can just find them some way or another. We'll find them for you. Don't worry. We'll let people borrow our video store copy of Girls Last Tour, not the anime, the manga. They sell that at the video store as well. I don't know if you knew this. This is just how it works. Fewest Hunter in Twitch chat said, too marketable, referring to the cat creature things. And then honestly, once you watch enough stuff, you grow wary of little guys. I can read, I swear. I know.
You play Yu-Gi-Oh. You know that's a lie.
Listen. I come here and I talk every week about
There's
a manga.
the Melfi user.
Melfies are very, very easy and fun and nice and cute. Are you hating on the Melfies?
Yes. Have you seen how much text on the normal monster alone?
Okay. Are you hating on the Melfies? Yes. No.
Yes.
Why? What is wrong with your soul? You hate
one?
You hate the cute, adorable Melfies, but you like the little ket creature that eats bullets and fuel and takes over radio waves.
That's useful, okay?
That's useful.
Okay. It eats bullets, takes over radio waves. It has like statues erected of it around the city. I'm just saying. I think I was justified in being worried about this guy. I'm just
You're
saying.
describing an FMian from Mega Man Star Force. I don't know what to tell you.
Aren't I always? That's what I'm always referencing.
Not always.
I think we're always
sometimes.
talking about Mega Man here. That's what we're always doing. This is why we read Mega Man here once. This is true.
Only once.
Only once. Probably
And
never
maybe
again.
No,
Hey, it could win the vote or not.
It's funny
Probably
because
not.
they're both series about humanity going extinct.
That's true. We've read quite a few of those probably. What else do we have here? What else do we like about this week or hate? Is there anything people didn't like about this week? Any haters in the chat?
No, I liked it.
No, I like this way more than the first two volumes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, I'm looking at the
Like,
one chapter now. I'm sorry. You go.
Like since I wasn't here last week, quick aside for that.
Oh yeah, I completely forgot. Yeah,
just
what were your
reading-
thoughts? Yeah.
Just reading the blurb for what it was, I came into it expecting like a dark comedy, and instead it was just melancholy moe.
Yeah, I could
Yeah.
see that. Like kind of making fun of their situation and surroundings.
Yeah.
And like the first two volumes were just kind of boring.
That's what Ari was saying at first too.
Like don't think they were badly done. They just they didn't. The 3 and 4 actually felt connected with what they were doing, like a straight path.
Yeah.
But the first two felt more like consistent side stories.
Yeah.
But yeah, that was my thoughts on it.
I was thinking to myself, if you were somebody who really hated this series, you could say Girls Last Tour, more like Girls Last Bore. Am I right? Haha. But then I was like, but this series is good. I like this series, so I shouldn't say that. It's a good series.
And yet here we are.
I'm just saying,
And
if
yet
you
you
were going
still
to
said
insult
it.
the series, if you're going to insult the series because you think it's boring, that's probably what you would say. I'm just out here telling you the obvious joke. Okay?
If you're
I'm out
creatively bankrupt, this is what you would say. Come on.
This is true. It's true. Okay? I'm just saying, but you wouldn't say that because it's peak. Well, I don't know if I'd say peak, but it's pretty good. It's pretty good. I can't exactly call it peak yet, not until we're done. But at this point, like I said, this series is already at to the point where I'm probably going to order all of the series physically. One, because I enjoy it. Two, I love the art. Three, it's very short, which means it's very easy for me to collect the whole thing physically. So we love us a very good series that's also like 6 volumes long. We love it.
Is it easy? Is it still in print?
And it's from Yen
It's still
Press,
in
so I
print, I
imagine.
think.
Yeah, it's gotta be still in print. You think Yen Press would stop printing things? Wait, are they also the ones that printed Umineko? Then we might have a problem.
Yeah.
Urineko wins again.
They did also print Umineko. Listen, I was seeing on Twitter, I think it was Yen Press hinting about a big announcement tonight, and there were several people in their reply saying Umineko reprints, and I'm like, what?
That's never gonna
This
fucking
that's
happen.
not.
Never.
Where did
I'm
we get this idea?
It's never.
What would be sparking this idea,
I
bro?
will
Can you
never open
imagine?
the cat box again?
Can you imagine if because the power of anime book club here, okay? We read Dorohedoro, they announced Dorohedoro season 2. All right. Can you imagine? We finished reading Umineko. We always talk about Umineko now. Can you imagine if right after we read it, then they announce a reprint of the manga and a new anime that's done actually properly with all the episodes? Could you imagine?
Yeah.
Could
No,
you
I just want a
imagine?
new anime because if it gets a new anime, even if it's bad, they're going to make a Beto figure.
That's
And
true.
that's what I care about.
That's true.
I need her.
You
Bro,
You're
don't.
gonna have to
Alright.
make a 3D modeling and make it yourself.
I'm
I
just
can't do that.
imagining.
I can't.
I'm just
I
imagining
just want
them.
Sakanya Phase 3.
I'm just imagining them doing the same thing they did for Higurashi. Was it Go, where they tried to act like it was a reboot, and then it was actually just a continuation?
Yeah, that was Go.
That was going, so let's see. Yeah,
I'm
that was a thing.
I'm just imagining everybody getting ready to join in on Umineko for the first time, starting the new reboot, and then it turns out it's a continuation of the old one. It's like, wait a minute, wait,
Yeah, it just
That
starts
goes
with the
too.
answer arcs.
wait a minute, why is Erica here? What the fuck? It ends similar to how the first episode of Go ended. Erica just appears to break through.
So, everyone, how did you like these deductions?
Fucking kill me.
No, I would love that.
Just
I
by
would love
some distance,
It would be
I,
really
Erica,
funny.
can figure this
It
out.
would be so fun. He's already done it once, so you never know.
Wow.
The Mad Lad could do it
The
again.
Master Troll.
Do you think Battler would survive in the Girls Last Tour world?
Yes.
No,
Absolutely the fuck not.
No. He would be dead before it starts. So
Come on.
What about the other?
ground
He doesn't
would
use the
give
gun.
out underneath him, and he would fall through an entire layer.
What's with all
But
the
that-
Battler hate?
but that he would survive.
Nothing.
He
No,
would die in a
listen.
different, stupider way.
Listen,
I love Badler. He just wouldn't survive.
Everyone loves Battler, but
He's not built different. He's built quite standard.
oh, he's built different, all right. He's,
He's
built,
built
worse.
about as poorly as you can manage.
I need to remind everyone that according to Glorification, Battler is very sturdy. He can survive a lot of abuse.
That was a Dojin game.
I'm just saying, we put Battler in the mecha, all right? Give him a missile or two. What could go wrong?
He doesn't need a missile. He'll just punch you in the mecha. He'll go
just-
inside your mecha and punch you. He
We'll
doesn't
give
even
him-
do that.
We give Beatrice access to the nuclear submarine. And, I mean...
Now, Beatrice, I would trust with a nuke.
I wouldn't.
Really? The last time we trusted her with a lot of bombs, things happened. I don't know.
Got rid of one rich family.
Anyway.
All right. So, do you have any other thoughts about this week's reading? What are our hopes for the final? What do we think is going to happen, or what do we hope we want to happen for the final volumes?
We get to the moon.
You want to go to the moon? I mean, it shows it on the
Why
cover.
not?
I don't know. Maybe. I didn't know if this was like a metaphorical thing, but with how this story goes, I have no idea if they actually somehow end up on a moon
There is
structure
the
of some
moon.
sort. I don't know
It's
how
just
this
one
world
big
works
elevator
anymore.
to the moon. That's what he didn't tell you
Truly,
about.
This is Virtue's last reward.
Wait, so are we going back to Sailor Moon next time?
What?
Because
Yeah, humanity escaped the planet to find the silver crystal.
Yeah, that's true.
Oh
And-
my god!
And
I
then
didn't
they're
realize
gonna
this.
travel through time.
Gonna start a
yeah.
circus? No
wait,
clowns.
no, they're gonna start moon tourism.
Finally.
Yeah.
Finally. Kraus,
Yes.
Kraus was right all along. This is why the world
You were-
ended. Kraus established moon tourism. It was too good, and then everybody was fighting for access to moon tourism.
This
This
is
is what
the
happened.
bad future where Kraus wins.
The NFTs fucking got us all.
Yeah, when did they get to the stratum where the robots are trying to sell them NFTs because they're like, we haven't been able to sell them in ages, but finally there are humans here. Do you have any Bitcoin? What do you got on you?
But you can't even view the NFTs. It's got like one of those broken image
Oh, no.
default.
Oh yeah, the link rot got him.
Yeah.
All my apes gone. What am I gonna
Blockchain
do?
is totally permanent and secure. We promise.
Yeah,
Don't worry,
remove his internet.
the
I
government
wouldn't know.
can't interfere in these NFTs. Don't worry. All right, so war never changes. But aside from going to the moon, what else do we want? Do we want us to find an answer to life? Does this
No.
end with our characters dying in some kind of way? Do we just
Eventually.
fall? Do we just fall through the stratums? And then this is how it ends? They just fall forever? I don't know. A lot of different ways that we could... I try to think with this series, how much of the ending... Because we've had a trend with some of the weirder entries that we've read for book club where, especially with things like Fire Punch. Fire Punch was a big thing where it's just like there is events that probably actually happen, and then there's metaphorical things that have happened. So, what is the how does a series like this end? Does it end with an actual physical series of events happening, or does it end more metaphorically and then leaving the reader to think about things? I don't know, and I don't know which one I want.
Hold
I
on.
think I can handle if this series does it. It depends on how they handle it for either way, but I think I'd be satisfied either way. I'm not sure.
Wait, telling me is we could have done the movie theater ending again.
I think
We
if
could
you
do the
look
movie
at,
theater ending.
The stories of the characters that we've seen so far, apart from you and Chi, I think it's safe to say that the story ends with a punchline.
Hmm. The
I'm pretty
punchline-
confident it's gonna be. It's just they find something, look at it, be like, "Oh, weird," and then they move on.
They'll
So-
say a line like,
so-
"Maybe that's what
so-
life is all about."
No. They're gonna
Oh,
find
I thought they were
something.
lighthouses.
They're gonna find actual chocolate and
Yo!
go,
They
oh,
just did.
this is what actual chocolate tastes like. All the other things that said it was chocolate before, that wasn't chocolate.
No, it's not chocolate. It's
They're like, oh, this
Canadian
shit
chocolate.
sucks.
yeah.
Yeah, they find 80% dark chocolate. It's like, God damn it.
God fucking Christ.
Exactly.
At the end of their journey, they find what they've always been looking for, a gift shop for
Mid.
tourists nearby. And in that gift shop, it's chocolate themed after a brand about
No, they
the
find
moon.
Hershey's.
They find Hershey's. Okay.
I find a Wonka bar.
With a golden wrapper.
No,
Oh my
they
God,
find
I got a
like
ticket.
some like Mr. Beast bar or something. like
Yo, Feastables.
They go back and find some of those nukes.
I think I have to die now.
I think we're cooking.
No,
Hold
they
on, we gotta get
Canadian chocolate, okay, the good stuff.
we gotta get the author on the phone here. What is there? Tsukumizu, call us. We're cooking here.
Don't call us.
We're cooking here. Okay, we can get you all the connections.
Connections to what?
Mr.
Anna.
Beast. You didn't know? We have that connection. We can get Mr. Beast here on.
Hold
Book
on,
Club, no
wait,
problem.
hold on. No, I'm not including this one, Chip.
What, you don't have Mr. Beast on speed dial for book club?
Of fucking course not.
He would show up for Umineko, I think.
That man doesn't have a soul.
Without
this
love, it
true?
cannot be seen. That's what we keep trying to tell him, but he hasn't read Umineko yet. He hasn't been able to attend the book clubs yet, but that's what's going wrong. I'm just saying. Well, what else do we have before we wrap up the stream for tonight? Do we have anything else?
I'm expecting them to actually have to use the gun at some point.
Yeah, I was wondering about that. I assume they keep the gun around for protection from whatever, but they also just assume that there's nothing else alive but people. So I'm just like, do they
Just
keep
in
the
case, okay?
do they keep the gun for other people,
Second
or
Amendment is very useful.
Like, they've pointed it a couple of times, but they've only met friendly people.
yeah, she did point it at the cat when they were like, "Are you gonna try to eat me too?" After the big one ate you, it was like, okay, are these things evil now? But then they stopped to go figure out the situation. So maybe
That's how you know they're not American.
maybe we revisit. You know what? No, it is what Ari said. They find real chocolate, but we revisit the scene where Yu points the gun at Chi, and this time she means it. She wants the real fucking chocolate, and there's only one piece of the real chocolate. Okay, and we're not fucking
Is that
around
what
with
One
this.
Piece was about?
Yeah, this is basically a One Piece. They
Yeah?
were killing each other over one piece of chocolate at the end of the world. That's basically what it was all about. Yes.
Damn.
Sheena, were you about to say something? I don't know if you were going to say something earlier.
Yeah, I was just gonna say that I'm in the squad that liked the first two volumes more, actually, because I feel like I can just see the story getting more and more depressing, and I feel like I'm gonna be pretty sad by the end.
Like,
the
you know.
ones are
Yeah.
really
Yeah.
Shino,
Yeah.
Shino, the sad girl enjoyer.
I think we should do more violence.
Sheena just say, please, more violence.
Pull out the guns already.
So you want you and Chi to just fire on each other.
Look, we didn't want that lady to have a parachute for her airplane. We wanted that man to jump off the elevator. The fact that he looked at his life work get swept away and was just like, I guess I can do it again.
I'll figure it out.
I'm not saying no to that.
I'm alone here, I see.
Yeah, I had a thought related to that. What you were saying, God, wait, no, fuck, I had the thought and now it's gone. I hate when this happens.
Bye-bye.
Do you remember what it was in relation to?
It was in relation to whatever Shino said about why Shino liked 1 and 2 compared to 3 and 4.
That this was that she could see this just getting much sadder.
Oh, yeah, it was that. Yeah, I have. I think I mentioned this last week too. I had already heard from a couple different people that the ending broke a few of my friends when they read it. They they had said that it was like one of the first times that it made them cry reading a manga emotionally from whatever happened. They didn't spoil me on what happened, but there's a lot apparently. There's a lot of emotions going on.
Wait, tell me we were right with the chocolate.
Maybe. You know what? That would make me cry too if I see it happen.
Like I said, it's a punchline.
That's true.
It certainly is a comedy.
You think in the end, they find a fish, and then the fish has eaten the chocolate.
Okay, and they asked the question.
I don't know
does
where I'm
now
going with that, but
the fish now
Maybe
taste-
in the
There's a
end, the
message
real
about life in
humanity
there
was the
somewhere.
friends we made along the way.
maybe. Do you
What
think we
friends?
should like establish
We're not friends,
these?
Shadow?
Do you think we should establish these mushroom creatures as like the new god of the world? No.
They
Okay,
do a
well, I
better
guess
job
not.
than the current one.
Really? They seem like they said, you know what? I think the world's ending. We're gonna go now. Bye.
Better than what's God's been doing. Have you even seen him in the past couple of centuries?
I don't know how much of a factor
They
these
seem
guys played
like-
in ending the world too.
They seem like kind of reminiscent of Land of the Lustrous, like the new beings that
That's
have
true.
resided on the planet.
Yep.
You know, we don't really get many details on how they are formed, how they become sentient, but you know, they are now the new
Dominant species.
not humans, but like the new dominant species here. Because we see a whole lot more of them than we do of humans.
The
So
Rock's
what you're saying
win
is
again.
they're the Lunarians essentially.
That's why we're going to the moon.
That's true. See, it all comes back.
We can all connect. We can connect all of book club together.
Okay, we just need to
That's
somehow
true.
get summertime
We've actually
rendering
been
in.
building a book club cinematic universe.
And somehow it
I-
all revolves around the moon.
Summertime rendering is easy. They got the planes. They got the old military tech.
Yeah, they got bombers. They got bombers. Yes,
You know, they got the bombers. Yeah, that one's easy. Okay, they got shadow people. The shadow people haven't shown up yet, unless you count the weird creatures as shadow people. I don't know.
Let's see here. Okay, but how we fit as a manga dio?
Manga Dio.
Yukari.
Well,
You know,
my
fair enough.
dad is basically one of the cats.
That's true.
True.
And Fire Punch, post-apocalyptic as well, in a
Yeah.
snowy environment as well. That one's easy. Mega
Noise
Man.
Zero?
How does Mega Man fit?
I already told you the fucking EM waves, the radio waves.
Oh, sure, whatever.
That's true.
Familiar of Zero.
Oh no, the plane. I was going to make a joke last time, like, no, it's too stupid. It's actually a prequel to Familiar Zero. That's like the fighter plane in
that's
the other
true.
world.
They do have the fighter plane. So there you go. That they got that directly from here. Yeah. Sailor Moon. Well, we're going to the moon.
I mean, yeah, we're going.
Maybe,
we're good.
maybe.
Are they going to visit the Moon Kingdom?
Yeah, of course.
Okay, what Rose had made though?
Did they find a doll? They found machines. Does that count?
Close enough.
I think we've
What-
progressed past the point of Rosen Maiden.
What do you mean? What do you mean by that?
You're right. We have to move on to Rosa Maiden 2. Did either of you finish Rosa Maiden 2 yet?
She
Yes.
did. I didn't. I haven't yet. I will. I just haven't yet.
Yeah.
I
No,
will.
sure.
I will. I have the tab
Uh-huh.
open. I have the
Yeah,
tab
look.
open. I just
I have
have
the
it
tab
open.
open.
No,
I'm busy.
I'm
I'm
yeah.
busy.
No,
Okay?
I definitely
busy.
believe you.
I
Yeah,
How many-
no,
How
I'm
many
sure
other
you
tabs
will,
do you have
right?
open? How many other tabs are open? Yeah.
Sorry.
Yeah. Listen. This is-
Why do you have so many tabs anyway?
Listen, that's a whole thing. That's a different
I work
debate.
from home, Shadow.
That's a
Do you
different
really need
debate.
all those tabs?
No, she
Yes.
doesn't.
Yes.
She
I
doesn't.
need
How
5 at least for Steam. I need a few for social media. I need a couple for forums. I have a few docs open.
Okay,
This
many
isn't
of those-
about me.
many of those she does not open right now. She can open them up again later. But that's whatever. We've had listen. Okay, Shadow. When people do that, okay, there's a different type of person. For whatever reason they do this, we're not talking about that. It's fine. You can live your life how you want to live your life. Just
Oh, are you
understand.
the person with like 2 tabs?
Yeah,
I am
why,
person
do,
two
why
tabs.
do I need more than that?
How
Why
the
do you
fuck
need more
do
than
you live?
How do you... No, we're
by
ending this.
focusing
No,
on the fucking thing in front of me?
Thank
What do you mean?
everyone, for coming to Anime Book
Hold
Club
on, why are you
tonight.
ending it like I was literally saying we're gonna move on from this, and now you're acting. Okay, listen. Anyways, all right. So
2-tabber.
because you don't need anything more.
That's
Listen.
already.
Hey, sorry, I can focus on one thing, and I don't need 4 different audio sources playing at any one time. All right, listen. All right, so
Skill issue.
I will ask one more time for closing thoughts about Girls' Last Tour before we wrap up, and then I will do my closing speech. Any last thoughts, concerns, theories, ideas, desires, anything? What do we got? Okay, well, thank you so much.
I'm Team Shino.
I like
I
the
want
series
more
as well.
violence.
You want more violence? Okay.
Yeah, I'm Team Shino on this.
Here, let me read. Let me read the chat real quick. Fuse Hunter said, oh wait, there was a couple things. So JMO wasn't around for it. Shadow entered the chat saying it's a good thing you weren't around for it. What was this in reference to? This is a reference
Mega Man
to
X.
Mega Man X. Okay. Fuse Hunter said LOL. Very unapologetically slow paced and more contemplative. I'm assuming referring to the volumes this week. And then Fuse Hunter said, Battler getting dunked on is a canon event. This is true. And then
That's
Cronus
true.
showed up and did the first redeem. You're first today, Cronus. Congrats. And then it did the Hachikuji emoji. And then Fuse Hunter, dang, can't fault that though. For was this in response to Shino wanting more violence? Probably. And then Fuse going, I feel that it's very cozy. Okay, so. All right, we're going to wrap this up with that for this week. So, next week we'll be reading the final volumes of Girls' Last Tour. Now you don't have to worry about whatever chapters you read up to, just read whatever's there. And if you're reading from certain sources, you may be missing chapters. There is a total of 47 chapters that should be read to enjoy all of Girls' Last Tour. Now, on some sites, it will list you on some sites they don't list 3 of the chapters, but it will say there's 43 chapters. That's because one of the chapters is for some reason listed as a half chapter. I don't know why they did this, but just read whatever's there, and then you can find the other 3 chapters somewhere else, or just read from some other source to get the other chapters, or go to Amazon and buy them. I don't fucking know. You can find a way to read it, and the chapters are there. We're gonna be there's
Borrow
I
my
don't
copy if you want.
There's no more missing chapters in these last volumes, as far as I know. All the chapters are there for the next volumes. So all the chapters that were missing, we've already went past them by now. So if you want to go experience those, you can do that. Was there any? Oh yeah, wait. Was there another bonus meme I meant to show? Oh yeah, I was gonna. We're not gonna read it all, but the other bonus meme that they had.
Oh,
and the
diary,
other
yeah.
afterward, yeah. The other bonus meme that they had was.
Oh yeah, the
a
picture
journal.
diary.
Oh wait, let me also show the second page real quick of the items that they brought with them on their journey. This is the second page of the items they brought with them on their journey. We're not going to read it all, but it's things like the lantern stove, the pencil writing tool with the graphite core. They don't have a lot of it, so she's not writing in the journal every day. The explosives they got, and then all the various other gear. It's neat little extra details about it. I was kind of hoping this week they would be showing us like every 2 volumes or so another map of their journey so far, because I really liked that when we got that last week. I thought that was very neat, but we did not get that this week. Let me show the volume 4 bonus meme pages. I already showed the afterword for volume 3, so I guess we'll end this week reading the afterword for volume 4 once we get there. And then here we get some excerpts from Cheeto's picture journal. Some of them are references to their journey so far, in terms of like encounters they met, like Kanazawa. Others seem to be events that I don't think we were witnesses towards, but still very interesting. I like the little drawings. Let me show the next one. And it says, I'll just read the top bit. In her journal, Cheeto describes the things she's seen and what she thinks, accompanied by simple sketches. She can't write every day, of course, so she writes in it when she can. At first, she kept track of the number of days since they left on their journey, but she lost count somewhere along the line and gave up. Here are some experts. When I read that, I was thinking earlier to your question about the time, how long the scope of time they've been journeying is, and that would have been a neat little detail to have the days in the journal, but we unfortunately do not have that. So, and then the alcohol they drink, the temple stuff that they find. Apparently, there's more details about their grandpa here, too. It says here, I saw Grandpa's room hazily, but now that I think about it, there was something there that shouldn't have been. And it looks like one of those weird statue things again. The creatures. What's that about? Or maybe we're referring to the chair. The chair shouldn't have been there, of course. What's that doing? And then...
No, I think it's the long boy that's there. You see that?
No, it can't be that. Can't be that. All right, now for the final afterword of Volume 4, we have...
Wait.
Yep.
The creatures said like they didn't detect any life at the end of the volume.
Yeah,
Like, did the other two people just die?
probably.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, because everybody in this world struggling for food anyways. If they go somewhere that just doesn't give them food and they don't have a vehicle, both of them didn't have a vehicle at that point, I don't think, so probably weren't going to last long.
Chi and you
Okay.
are the last humans.
Ever. In the world.
Yes.
Wow.
Or in
Alright.
that city, at least.
And spoilers.
Damn. Listen, the mushroom people said everything's going to end. Good luck.
They said in red
It's
already.
not spoilers, it already happened.
I interpret it as we just haven't seen anyone alive, and it looks really big. The area.
Well, anything could
But
happen.
I guess I was said it in red.
Happens. Let me read this afterward. Why are there always wars? Why can't everybody have equal lives? I read a lot of books and think about this. I'll make attempts to get to the bottom of it, or I'll dream about my ideals, but I don't get it. I start to hate everything. Thinking wears me out, me too. Maybe thinking too big picture doesn't make people very happy. The only feelings I want in life is the texture of the persimmons from the persimmon tree in my family's yard. What is happening in this image? Are we standing in a active battlefield?
Yes.
It's very different than the last scene where they're just in a cafe with the dog still. The dog looks at peace, but war happens.
Yeah, that's a building being taken down.
Happens.
It's a few buildings being taken down.
War never changes. Anyways, thank you so much, everybody, for coming around to Anime Book Club this week. Wow, so exciting. Wow. All right. Yippee! Thank you so much, everybody, for another exciting week of Anime Book Club. We will be here next week discussing volumes 5 and 6, the last of the volumes for Girls' Last Tour. You can read everything that's out there, and then we'll be discussing it all and giving our thoughts on it next week. Let me read chat real quick. Draw Nyan, big fan of Girls' Last Tour. Thanks so much for the following as well earlier. I saw that you had followed when we weren't live yet, so thank you so much for that. And I'm glad that you're a fan of it too. So we're going to be finishing this up next week. I believe Ari has already told us that Ari will not be here next week, but if Ari sends her thoughts in the chat about it, we'll be sure to read it so you guys get to know her thoughts.
I'll be out of town.
And I will let you guys know as well, for those listening, after Girls' Last Tour, we already have decided the next 2 series that we're going to be reading. But the reason for this is because I am going to be gone for 2 weeks in the middle of May for various anime conventions. I'm going to Anime Central in Chicago, and then the next week I'm going to Anime Boston, back here in Boston. So what this means is next week we finish Girls' Last Tour, and the week after, and then so we're finishing Girls' Last Tour on May 8th. Then on May 15th and May 22nd, we get 2 breaks. And then we come back on May 29th to start Pandora Hearts, which is going to be a 24-volume series. So we're going to be there for a bit with that. And then after Pandora Hearts, we're going to be reading, was it Bloom Into You? Was that the other series? So we'll be reading that afterwards. Which I think that one's 8 volumes or something like that. So that one's not as long. So that's what we have planned. So we're going to be... The worst that might happen is that after the 2 weeks depending on how I feel afterwards, if I end up getting sick from cons, we might end up with an extra week that we don't read. But that's the worst that would happen. Because usually whenever we finish a series, we take a break off anyways. So the 15th we were always going to take off. But we're just also taking the 22nd off because I'm going to be at a convention at the time. So just letting you guys know about that. Draw an eye on in the chat. Any plans for Shimeji Simulation? It's kind of in the same universe as Girls Last Tour. I am very excited to read Girls Last Tour and finish it at some point. I believe Shino has already finished it. I would be very interested in us reading it in the future, but we're not going to be doing it anytime soon, probably.
Yeah, you messed them up.
What?
You said Girls Last Tour, not Smidgy Simulation.
Okay, that's fine. Okay. Shimeji Simulation. I would be very interested in reading Shimeji Simulation in the future, but for now, we're planning to do Pandora Hearts and then Bloom Into You. So if we do get to Shimeji Simulation eventually, it will be a eventually thing. I will probably read it on my own because it does seem like another very short read. I have read a couple chapters of it already, and I do know it's very interesting, and I do know it's set in that same kind of world and it's from the same author. So very interesting. So would highly recommend checking that out if you're somebody listening to this and is also interested in that. So that's what we have in store for the plans. In the meantime, as well, for the Tuesday watch parties, next week we are going to be starting to watch Dorohedoro. We're going to watch the first 6 episodes this Tuesday, May 6th, and then we'll finish it up on the following Tuesday, May 13th. And then we might be able to still do watch parties on Tuesdays, even on the weeks I'm not technically there, because I do come back on the Tuesday or on the Mondays of those weeks. So we might still be able to do it for whatever series we have next, or we might take those weeks off still. It'll depend. But we'll figure it out when that happens. I'll just coordinate. If you're somebody who wants to be a part of either those watch parties or the readings for either Girls Last Tour, the finale, or for Pandora Hearts, when we get to that, or Bloom Into You, you can join discord.wolfborg.com, where you can grab yourself the Anime Book Club role, and you can hang out with us in there and chat with us about your thoughts. And if you don't want to be part of the live discussions, you can always leave your comments in one of the chats or in the comments on YouTube, and we'll try to read them and let people know what you think. We did get one comment on the last Girls Last Tour video that we did, which was somebody saying this is going to be a lot of fun. So I'm enjoying Girls Last Tour so far, and yeah, I'm enjoying it. So thank you so much, everybody. And if you want to listen to this stuff live, go to youtube.wolfborg.com. Subscribe to us on there, or check us out on Twitch, twitch.wolfborg.com. Both these things were live on YouTube, Twitch, and Kick all at the same time, so you can follow and subscribe on those places. The VOD will always live on YouTube. That's primarily where the VODs live. But you can catch us live on either of those platforms every Thursday at 9 o'clock Eastern Time. So thank you so much, everybody. Let's see who is live to raid. Who can we send you guys to? Is anybody doing stuff tonight? Let us see. Who do we have? Oh, it's recommending me streams called Anime Night, and they're just legit watching anime on there. I'm pretty sure. Okay, well, good luck to them.
Sounds risky, but good luck.
Good luck to them. It reminds me of those Family Guy replay channels that exist on Twitch where they just stream Family Guy episodes all day. I don't know how that happens, but they just do it. Good luck to them and all that they're doing. We'll send you guys over to let's see here. Let us see. Go say hi to Mimi Pion. They're doing art. Are they doing Sonic Arts? Yeah, of course they're doing Sonic Art. So we'll send you over to there, and go say hi to them, and stay safe, gamers. And we'll talk to you next time. Goodbye. Goodbye. Bye, stream. Bye. Get out.
Oh, goodbye.
I have to wait for the raid button. Okay, it's goodbye. Bye-bye.